Hey guys, so this is our make on space exploration by Garrett, Trevor, and Justine. So, space exploration has always caught the attention of millions of people. Up until 60 years ago, space travel was considered impossible. Then the space missions of the 50s, 60s, and 70s happened and everything changed. However, funding for NASA has plummeted ever since the 1970s. The American government needs to see convincing benefits to continue the expensive space journeys.
The very first thing we're going to talk about today is the North American X-15. This plane was one of the things that the United States Air Force was most famous for. The big deal about the North American X-15 was that it was basically the world's first space plane. That is, the first plane that could be lifted off the ground and that could fly into space for ranging from about a couple minutes to a couple of hours, really. The program lasted about 9 years, roughly from 1959 to 1968, and the total cost was about $300 million. That includes the three different planes, or versions of the plane, made spanning over the 9 years of the project. At the time, it was the fastest plane ever built. Second Lieutenant Air Force test pilot and astronaut William Knight, or what his coworkers call him for short, Pete. So William Knight unofficially set the world's fastest speed record at Mach 6.67 in the North American X-15 and was able to fly into outer space for a couple of minutes. At that time, that was a very big deal, especially because the United States Air Force, with flying the plane of the North American X-15, was competing with NASA, and NASA had the rockets because that was at the time they were doing the Mercury and Apollo missions. So this was the 60s. So to think that a plane would compete with the engine power that rockets had was pretty unbelievable. And so to have a plane compete with a rocket, the plane would have to be very powerful and very fuel efficient. And the fact that it set a world speed record and went into outer space was a very big deal, and very hard, obviously. However, the X-15 project was completed on February of 1968.
The International Space Station is a microgravity laboratory in space. It is about the size of a football field and has been occupied at all times since November 2000. 222 people have been to the International Space Station from 18 different countries. It orbits the Earth about every 90 minutes and travels around 5 miles a second. It was built for NASA to learn more about how humans can live in space for long durations of time. They believe that learning how to live in space is paramount to attempting a mission to Mars. A manned mission to Mars would take about 2 years to get there. The world spent billions of dollars and got a bunch of business products and medicines because of the ISS. It may cost a lot of money, but there is an unbelievable technological investment.
NASA and the rest of the world have made spectacular achievements in space, but the future looks even brighter. NASA has plans to spread the human race to other planets with the help of its corporate partners. NASA's new ultimate destination is Mars. They have several reasons for wanting to land humans on the red planet. First and foremost is if they establish human colonies on other planets, that'll make it a lot less likely for the human race to be destroyed if something horrible happens on Earth. Like, for example, if a huge comet comes and destroys the environment on Earth, like it did to the dinosaurs, or if there's a giant nuclear war that essentially exterminates all living things on Earth. There's lots of reasons for establishing and spreading the human race to other celestial beings. It is definitely important to consider all the possibilities. However, realistically, it is unlikely that those events will happen in the near future.
There's a lot to learn about where we are in the universe by exploring space. We learned how rockets work, and it is possible for humans to explore and survive in space because of the space programs throughout the 1960s. Without the North American X-15, we would not be riding in the jet planes that we ride all over the world nowadays. The International Space Station is propelling the world into living in outer space. The ISS is performing experiments every day that make living on Mars closer. These are all great things that have come from money and interest in space exploration. But if we increase our focus and inspiration in space travel, we can accomplish even greater things.